All right, we're going to keep going with Siddhartha. Chapter 5. Siddhartha started on his journey. Remember to like and subscribe and share this with one other person that's learning English. Take this chance to learn. One, you're reading through an English novel, and I'm not stopping to explain every sentence. Maybe when we're done, I'll go back and look at sentences and how we can use them. Take in the adjectives, take in the description, and look at how he is explaining himself. Think about how you would say these ideas, because these are big ideas. Okay? All right, let's start here. He learns he's only going to obey his inner voice, which is not his brain. It's not even his outward experience. During the night, as he slept in a ferryman's straw hut, a ferryman is someone that takes you across the river. If you've read the Ramayana, Ram, when he's out, he meets the ferryman who's scared to have him get on his boat because he thinks Ram will turn it to stone or something like that. So, anyways, the ferryman's. So during the night, as he slept in a ferryman's straw hut, Siddhartha had a dream. He dreamt that Govinda stood before him in a yellow robe of the ascetic. Govinda looked sad and asked him, "Why did you leave me?" Thereupon he, Siddhartha, embraced Govinda, put his arm around him, drew him to his breast, drew him close and kissed him. He was Govinda no longer, but a woman. And out of the woman's gown emerged a full breast. And Siddhartha lay there and drank. Sweet and strong tasted the milk from the breast. So dreams are weird. He's with his friend, kisses his friend, and that friend becomes a woman, and Siddhartha almost becomes like a baby, feeding. Sweet and strong tasted the milk from this breast. It tasted of woman and man, of sun and forest, of animal and flower, of every fruit, of every pleasure. It was intoxicating. Like when you're drunk, when you've drank too much alcohol, you're intoxicated. It was intoxicating. When Siddhartha awoke, the pale river shimmered past the door of the hut. What did we say last time was pale? Not very bright. It can be bright, but the color is not very distinct. It's not a bright color. It's a little bit faded. The pale river shimmered past the door of the hut, and in the forest the cry of an owl rang out deep and clear. As the day began, Siddhartha asked his host, the ferryman, to take him across the river. The ferryman took him across on his bamboo raft. The broad sheet of water glimmered pink in the light of the morning. Broad sheet, just like your sheets on the bed, except it's water. It looks like a sheet. It glimmered pink in the light of the morning. It's changing colors with the sun. "It is a beautiful river," he said to his companion. "Yes," said the ferryman, "it's a very beautiful river. I love it above everything. I have often listened to it, gazed at it, and I have always learned something from it. One can learn much from a river." "Thank you, good man," said Siddhartha as he landed on the other side. "I am afraid I have no gift to give you, nor any payment. I am homeless, a Brahmin's son, and a samana." "I could see that," said the ferryman, "and I did not expect any payment or gift from you. You will give it to me some other time." "Do you think?" asked Siddhartha merrily. "Certainly. I have learned that from the river too," said the ferryman. "Everything comes back. You too, Samana, will come back. Now farewell. May your friendship be my payment. May you think of me when you sacrifice to the gods." It's a little strange that Siddhartha says that he's a Brahmin and a Samana. He's kind of still using his identity to get things, isn't he? I don't know. That seems a little strange to me. But the ferryman learned from the river, so we are learning from the river too. What does the river do? It changes all the time. It's a river, but it's a different river at all moments. Greek and Hindu philosophy talk about this. It's a different river every moment because different water particles are going by, different things are going by on the river. But the man has learned that it also comes back, just like reincarnation. Smiling, they parted from each other. Siddhartha was pleased at the ferryman's friendliness. He is like Govinda, he thought, smiling. All of whom I meet along the way are like Govinda. They are grateful, although they themselves deserve thanks. All are grateful, although they themselves deserve thanks. All are subservient. All wish to be my friend, to obey and think little. People are children. Quite a strange statement. We would call this condescending. When you look down upon people, he really thinks of himself in this, as far as I can see, as kind of a king or above everybody. He is more of a true person than them, and he takes advantage of this. That's at least what I hear. What do you hear? So all are subservient, all wish to be my friend, all obey and think little. People are children. This is the way a politician would think, or a cult leader. It's a little strange. At midday, he passed through a village. Children danced about in the lane in front of the clay huts. They played with pumpkin stones and mussels. Mussels are a type of aquatic creature that you can eat. They shouted and wrestled with each other, but ran away timidly when the strange samana appeared. Still, Siddhartha looks like a monk. At the end of the village, the path went alongside a brook. It's another name for a small river. At the edge of the brook, and at the edge of a brook was a young woman. At the edge of the brook, a young woman was kneeling and washing clothes. When Siddhartha greeted her, she raised her head and looked at him with a smile, so that he could see the whites of her eyes shining. He called across a benediction. This is something that a priest would do. He'd say, peace to you, or something like this with his hands like this. It's a benediction, as is customary among travelers, and asked how far the road still was to the large town. Thereupon she stood up and came towards him, her moist lips gleaming attractively in her young face. If you know Hindi, pigi pigi honte. Pigi honte tere. So this is a little bit sensuous, right? Her moist lips gleaming attractively in her young face. She exchanged light remarks with him and asked if he had yet eaten, and whether it was true that samanas slept alone in the forest at night and were not allowed to have any women with them. Quite the talk, huh? She's obviously coming. We would say in English, she's coming on to him. She's trying to attract him. She then placed her left foot on his right and made a gesture such as a woman makes when she invites a man to that kind of enjoyment of love, which the holy books call ascending the tree. So in the holy books, they have words for sex. Siddhartha felt his blood kindle, and as he recognized his dream again at that moment, remember his dream of seeing Govinda, and then he was feeding from the woman like from a mother. He stooped a little towards the woman and kissed the brown tip of her breast. Kind of a strange thing to do. Looking up, he saw her face smiling, full of desire. She was full of desire for him, and her half-closed eyes pleading with longing. She's very desirous of sex at this point. Siddhartha also felt a longing and the stir of sex in him. Now, does this happen in real life? I don't think I've ever heard of this happening, but okay. But as he had never yet touched a woman, he hesitated a moment, although his hands were ready to seize her. At that moment, he heard his inward voice, and the voice said no. Okay, remember, he's going to listen to his inward voice. Then all the magic disappeared from the young woman's smiling face. He saw nothing. Now, did the woman's face change? No, but his look changed. When our chemicals and our bodies react, we see things differently, right? When we are hungry, we see food and it seems to shine, But Now he just saw the ardent glance of a passionate young woman. So for me, I am attracted to women, right? So if a man came up to me and he's attractive, but he wanted to attract me sexually, I wouldn't be enchanted by him. A man who is attracted to men would be. I would not be attracted to him, but a woman, I might feel this attraction, right? We can't control this part of ourselves. We either are or aren't attracted. But notice there's no difference. There's a person in front of me that is desirous of sex. And how do I react to that? It's depending on what's inside of me, right? So his vision changed of her. Gently he stroked her cheek and quickly disappeared from the disappointed woman into the bamboo wood. Okay, so she suddenly wanted sex with him. I haven't heard of this, but maybe I haven't lived enough. And okay, so a little strange. Before evening of that day, he reached a large town, and he was glad because he had a desire. One moment. A desire to be with people. He had lived in the woods for a long time, and the ferryman's straw hut, in which he had slept the previous night, was the first roof he had ever had over him in a long time. Outside the town, by a beautiful unfenced grove, the wanderer, Siddhartha, met a small train, like a group of people walking together. We could call this a train of men and women, servants. They are men and women who are servants, loaded with baskets. We can picture this. They're carrying the baskets. In the middle, in an ornamented sedan chair, it's being carried by these people, carried by 4 people, sat a woman, the mistress, on red cushions beneath a colored awning. Siddhartha stood still at the entrance to the grove and watched the procession, the men servants, the maid servants, and the baskets. He looked at the sedan chair and the lady in it. Beneath heaped up black hair, he saw a bright, very sweet, very clever face, a bright red mouth, like a freshly cut fig. It's quite a image. Artful eyebrows painted in a high arch. Dark eyes, clever and observant, and a clear, slender neck above her green and gold gown. So she's obviously wealthy. The woman's hands were firm and smooth, long and slender, with broad gold bangles on her wrists. So this is either a queen or it is a courtesan, which is another word for a very wealthy prostitute. We don't know yet. Siddhartha saw how beautiful she was, and his heart rejoiced. He bowed low as the sedan chair passed close to him, and raising himself again, gazed at the bright fair face, and for a moment into the clever arched eyes, and he inhaled the fragrance of a perfume which he did not recognize. For a moment the beautiful woman nodded and smiled, then disappeared into the grove, followed by her servants. And so, thought Siddhartha, I enter this town under a lucky star. This is a lucky star, might say that, oh, you're going to have luck because I see Venus, which is actually a planet, but I see Venus, and that shows that I'm going to have luck. Well, she is his lucky star. This is a song by Madonna. You may be my lucky star. You can look it up. He felt the urge to enter the grove. Immediately, he felt notice how that changes the sentence. He felt the urge to enter the grove. How? Immediately. Oh, that changes the sentence. He felt the urge to enter the grove immediately, but he thought it over, for it had just occurred to him how the men servants and maids had looked at him at the entrance. So scornfully, so distrustfully, so dismissing in their glance. So he hadn't thought about it, but he did notice, without thinking, the faces of the servants as they looked at him. And then it occurred to him. He realized, this is a good use of language here. It occurred to him how the men servants and maid servants had looked at him at the entrance so scornfully, so distrustfully, so dismissing in their glance. See how this is how occurring happens, something occurring to you. You slowly go, oh, they looked at me, they were scornful, They were distrustful. They were dismissing. They didn't like me, right? That's how it is when something occurs to you. I am still a samana, he thought, still an ascetic and beggar. I cannot remain one. I cannot enter the grove like this. And he laughed. He inquired from the first people he met about the grove and the woman's name, and he learned that it was the grove of Kamala, the well-known courtesan, that is kind of like a wealthy prostitute. And that besides the grove, she owned a house in town. Okay, so this is where we're going to stop. So he has met Kamala and he's realized what he looks like, and he's entering the town and he wants to experience all of life. Okay, so that was the image of him suckling at the breast. He was experiencing all of life and he wanted to experience all of it. And that's what we're going to see in Siddhartha from now on. He's going to try to experience all the aspects of life. Let's see how he does. All right, so I will see you next time. Make sure to like and subscribe and share this with someone. And I'll see you next time.